If you've ever felt bloated, sluggish, inflamed, or you're just constantly guessing on why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, this episode is definitely for you. Not every healthy food is food that is right for every single person. Goal isn't to eat perfectly, but to eat in a way that supports your gut health, your energy, and your hormonal health. So we're going to break this down step by step. Hey there, and welcome back to Logically Fit Podcast. This is going to be part 4 of our series on how to balance cortisol, reduce inflammation, and improve your overall health, like your gut health, hormonal health, to make getting leaner, building muscle tissue, and feeling your overall best mentally and physically. Seems seamless in comparison to what you've probably tried before. So today we are going to be tackling a huge topic. It's how to figure out which foods actually work for your body. If you've ever felt bloated, sluggish, inflamed, or you're just constantly guessing on why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, this episode is definitely for you. Not every healthy food is food that is right for every single person. So the goal isn't to eat perfectly, but to eat in a way that supports your gut health, your energy, and your hormonal health. So we're going to break this down step by step. Why most affordable food sensitivity tests are not accurate and can actually cause more harm. The legit food sensitivity tests that are backed by science and the pros and cons of them, if you want to dive into that. But also going into one of the ones that I recommend most for most people, which is the elimination diet. It's also the most affordable option out there. How to start slow, especially if you're somebody that easily gets overwhelmed or you just have a lot on your hands and you can't just do all at once. And then also the top foods that tend to cause issues for many people. So if you're looking to start somewhere, that list is usually for most people to start with. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly where to start so you can finally stop guessing and start feeling better. So let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to start with is why most food sensitivity tests that you can take at home are just really honestly not worth your money. I know a lot of people turn to food sensitivity tests at their first step to figuring out what's bothering their gut health and then also causing inflammation. But the problem is that most affordable at-home tests are not scientifically accurate, right? The test measures these antibodies, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, so forgive me, but I think it's IgG antibodies, which doesn't necessarily mean that you're intolerant. It just means that you're eating it frequently. And many of these tests can also give false positives, making you feel like you have to cut out your foods, and they're not necessarily necessary for you to feel your best. And then also eliminating too many foods, especially all at once, is actually pretty harmful for your gut microbiome. And so we don't want that because it actually can make you more sensitive over time. And then it can also lead to a lot of food fear. I know for a lot of people, they've done a lot of extreme diets, like extreme tactics. They might have a mindset that is more all or nothing with their food, especially if they have more of an emotional relationship with food and fitness. So this can actually exacerbate that mentality. And also I've seen people cut out like 20 plus foods based on one of these tests, later to find out that there was no reason for them to do it. And they were actually working harder than they need to. And it just, honestly, it's not necessarily about how hard you work or how much you're doing. It's about how efficient you are being. You don't get brownie points for doing more than what you need to. So we want to make sure that we're being logical with our decisions. We're using very, very reliable options to help you make educated decisions on what food does or does not work for you. So if you are looking to take a food sensitivity test, these are the ones that I would say are worth your money, are fairly accurate. The first one is going to be the mediator release test, which is MRT. This measures immune responses to food, not just that antibody that I mentioned before, making it more reliable. The other one is going to be a GI map test. This is actually the one that I want to take soon. This is where essentially you poop in a box, you send it into the labs, and they take a deeper look into your gut health, bacteria imbalances, digestive issues that could be driving inflammation. The other one, I haven't heard of this one, but it's the Cyrox Labs testing. What it does is it looks at a broader range of immune reactions and can be really, really helpful for people with autoimmune concerns. We do have a few people that do have autoimmune disorders, so this could be a helpful one for you. Right? The pros on this is that it's going to be more accurate than the basic food sensitivity test. I know that you can get some at Target or Amazon or things like that. It can also provide a deeper insight into your gut, so it allows you to get more personalized and really learn what works best for you. But the cons with this is that one, it's very expensive for a lot of people. It's anywhere from $300 to $600 plus. So it does cost a pretty penny. And the other one is that like most people, it's not necessary for most people. Most people just need to start with the basics. And a lot of times the basics are good enough for them to start feeling the way that they want to feel and seeing the changes that they want to see. And also, results still need to be interpreted correctly by a functional nutritionist or a doctor. Like you not only have to pay for the test, but you also have to invest in a professional that's going to help you understand it and also share with you how to apply it. This is exactly what we do with our blood panel analysis with people, is because they get their blood work done with their doctor, but all they do is like, oh, this is out of balance, here's some medication. Where a lot of people want to take more of a preventative or a proactive approach. They want to avoid medication as much as possible, but that's outside the conventional doctor's scope of knowledge. So working with a functional nutritionist or a doctor, like Toby, we have ours on staff. He's a nutritionist, but soon to be a doctor. He's the one that jumps on calls with people and explains the blood work and what it means and what exactly you can do through nutrition, fitness, and lifestyle to help improve those without having to rely on medication if possible. So that is something that you need to take in consideration, is that you will need to invest in that. So if you're someone who's really struggling with unexplained symptoms, you've done a lot of the basics, then I would say maybe investing one of these food sensitivity tests and working with a functional nutritionist or a doctor may be worth it for you. But if you haven't been doing the basics yet, like the things that I'm talking about in these series and many of the topics that you'll see in the podcast as well, or the things that we share on social media or on YouTube, I would start there first. Nobody's too good for the basics. And a lot of times people just want the basics and hopefully that works, and they don't need to overcomplicate things if they don't need to. Okay. But for most people, this is what I would suggest. If you're in a situation where you want to learn what foods do and do not work for you, this is the one that's going to be the most affordable and most applicable and one of the most accurate ones out there. And many people have probably heard of it. It is the elimination diet, which is one of the most accurate and the most affordable, like I mentioned before. This is what we have a lot of our clients do, whether it's in the stress reset. We do more of a simplified approach within the stress reset, but we do with a lot of our clients that are dealing with a lot of digestive issues. We will do more of a specific elimination diet to really understand what's working with their body and what's not. So if you want real answers about the foods that work for you, this might be the best approach. This is exactly what a lot of functional nutritionists and doctors do. Even if they do have access to these tests, they really do, for a lot of times, start with this first and then go to the tests if they are still not getting answers. So this is how it works. What you're going to do is remove a lot of the foods that are commonly known to cause inflammation, or you have a food sensitivity, intolerance, or an allergy to, for about 3 to 4 weeks. The reason why 3 to 4 weeks is the magic number is because it takes about that long for your CNS system to reset, for your gut health to realign, for your hormonal health to kind of balance out, for you to actually start feeling what it feels like to feel good as well. And then once the slate is wiped clean and you can actually make educated decisions, that's when you can start reintroducing it. Your body and also your brain adapts. Like a common analogy is like when I was playing softball, I was a softball catcher. And one of the things that you do as a softball catcher is you have to block the softball. So that means if a pitcher threw the ball into the ground, it would go into the ground and I'd block it with my body. Sometimes it'd hit my arms and things like that. When I was just starting a new season, it hurt so bad. I had to purposely like go through blocking drills to get used to it so it didn't hurt so bad. Now, even though later on it didn't hurt so bad, it doesn't mean it didn't make an impact on my body. Of course it did. It still impacted me the same way. It's just my body and my mind adapted to it, so it didn't phase me as much. But it's still happening. It's the same thing when it comes to eating the foods that you're eating. If you do have a sensitivity, intolerance, or an allergy to something and you've been eating it on and off for your whole life, you really can't know if this is going to be affecting you negatively or not until you completely remove it out for about 3 to 4 weeks. That allows it to actually wipe the slate clean and for you to actually make an educated decision. So that's where we get that magical number for 3 to 4 weeks. You also, during the 3 to 4 weeks, want to pay attention to how you feel, your energy, your digestion, your bloating, your mood, even your skin and your hair, maybe being able to have more energy in the gym, more emotional stability, all these different things that a lot of people see. We see that a lot through our stress reset too, is that a lot of people see night and day difference in terms of their just mood and outlook in life as well. We also, after the 3 to 4 weeks, want to slowly start reintroducing those foods one at a time, not all at the same time, one at a time, kind of doing a scientific experiment on yourself. You do it one at a time and test it for about 3 to 4 days, and then really just understand what does or does not work for you. So, what are some of the things that you want to eliminate during elimination diet? So, these are going to be very common ones that cause a lot of inflammation, or you might have a sensitivity, intolerance, allergy to, is going to be one, gluten. That's actually probably one of the most common ones. I don't have any studies that support this, but I've heard many people say this when they're working with clients. About 90% of them, when they take gluten out, feel significantly better. And I would support this, like, just from years of coaching people. If somebody is open to taking gluten out of their diet just to see, they do see significant changes. The next one is going to be dairy, especially problematic for those that have lactose intolerances or sensitivities to, like casein or protein found in your milk. This can cause digestive issues, skin problems, and inflammation. So the other one is going to be soy, and can trigger hormonal imbalances, digestive distress, and skin issues as well. Another one is going to be peanuts. While not common for everyone, peanuts are a known allergy. It can cause inflammation for some. Other foods that you may want to cut out are also going to be sugar or sugar substitutes, processed foods, alcohol, so on and so forth. Another one is going to be like nightshades, which are going to be things like tomatoes, eggplants. For some people, they do have intolerances. If you want to dive into a little bit more of the specific things that an elimination diet calls for you to eliminate just to see, you can simply just like Google or go on YouTube. It's a very, very common tactic out there. And there's no secret sauce. It's not anything secretive or special. It's all out there online. So you can look into that. And then after about 3 to 4 weeks, you just slowly start reintroducing it. Take about 3 to 4 days, pay attention to the symptoms. Do you feel more fatigued, bloating, digestive issues? And if you are somebody that does want to start a little bit slower, because for a lot of people, the full-blown elimination diet just seems a little bit much for some people. Maybe you have a lot on your hands, or you're just like a little bit more emotional when it comes to your food, then I would definitely say taking a slower approach is going to be best, because there's no finish line. There's no end date that you have to get done within 3 months. This can be something that you can do trial and error over your life to figure out what does and does not work for you. So I would say maybe start with like 1 to 4 of the foods on there, and start with the most common ones, right? The most common that I've seen is going to be gluten, dairy, peanuts, and then also soy. And so taking that out for about 3 to 4 weeks and slowly reintroducing it, this is actually exactly what we do in the stress reset, because those are some of the most common things that we have seen, and allowing people to eliminate them and slowly start reintroducing them back into their system could be really, really helpful. So these are like the ones that are linked to digestive issues, inflammation, skin problems, hormonal imbalances in many people. So cutting them out could be beneficial for you. The other things that I would also consider during this time is also minimizing or completely eliminating like things like sugar, alcohol, or erythritol, or some of these foods that have a lot of added fiber in there as well. They're not inherently bad, but these can wreak havoc on digestion, especially if you have them in large dosages over a period of time. If you're somebody that eats Quest bars every single day and then does sugar-free syrup in their coffee, and then does like the Legends Pop Tarts all the time, again, just because it's marketed healthy doesn't necessarily mean it is healthy. Again, I'm not trying to demonize things. It is a lot about the dosage, though. For some people, too much of that may not make them feel good. For me specifically, like cutting out these actually have made a huge difference. I don't touch them anymore unless I, every once in a while, once in a blue moon, I will go get a latte and I'll do a sugar-free vanilla, but I'll just make sure that I don't do anything else within that day. This really has made a significant difference. And I also know for me from trial and error over the years is gluten, just can't do, right? Dairy, most dairy, and I cannot do. In smaller amounts, I can do really, really high quality dairy, like Greek yogurt. Like my favorite brand is going to be Faye. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know. But like goat cheese and feta in small amounts, I can handle, but I try not to do it too often. I also cannot manage tomatoes, like fresh tomatoes. I can do like mashed up, like pasta sauce, but like fresh tomatoes wreck my stomach, and also peppers as well. So a lot of the nightshades, I just typically just stay away from, because it just does not make me feel too great either. And like literally My digestion improved significantly. My skin completely cleared up. This is the clearest my skin has ever been in my whole life. But like also my mental health, I'm more productive. I'm more resilient to stress. Like I have ADHD and I no longer have to rely on stimulants like Adderall, or mine was methylphenidate. Like you seriously cannot pay me to go back to how I was feeling beforehand. Even though this has been big changes in my life, the way that I feel every single day, it's well worth it for me. So big picture is we just want to make sure that you are picking the logical decisions when it comes to your gut health. So if you're tired of guessing what foods work for you, I would definitely say skip the cheap foods sensitivity test. If you want to do the test, I mean, doing a functional lab test like MRT or a GI map can be better. But honestly, for most people, just starting with a simple elimination diet, that's going to be the most affordable way and also one of the most accurate ways for you to figure that out. So if you want to start slow, though, start with the top 4 that I mentioned before, and then just pay attention to how you feel, because the goal isn't about restrictive, right? You don't want to be restrictive through this. It's about finding what helps you feel your best. So maybe it's not necessarily like completely eliminating something. It could be a happy medium where I do it once in a blue moon, or I figure out that the Chobani Greek yogurt hurts my stomach, but the Faye doesn't. Like there can be also a middle ground with all of this that you can do a trial and error on. So with that being said, here's the best part. In the next episode, we are going to be talking about blood sugar balance. This is another huge piece of the puzzle when it comes to making sure that we are balancing out our cortisol, managing cravings, our fat loss, energy levels, and so much more, and productivity as well. This is something that I've been really diving into to improve my blood work, but also to improve my productivity and work. So if you have ever felt like you're dealing with a lot of energy crashes midday, low productivity, intense cravings, or lots of inflammation, or your blood work is coming back that you might have some blood sugar regulation issues, then you don't want to miss this next episode, okay? If you love this episode and it helped you, please subscribe, share it, tag me on social media. That helps more than you know. And if you want more tools to reduce stress, improve gut health, and build a body that actually feels good, check out all of our resources that we have down below. Stay strong, stay informed, and I'll see you next time.